Hey, Bulls and Bears, it is Saturday, March 19th, 2022, back with another financial news, economic news roundup. And things are not looking very good for the average person living in the United States. And it's very similar around the world as we see this shift of the wealth continue to flow up to the very top, and especially the top 10%. And as we see, most of the bottom 90% continue to get further and further into debt. So here's an outline of the news topics we have for you today. Investment companies buying up entire streets, and that's not a joke, that's really happening. Banks are hoarding gold. What are they preparing for? We're going to talk about that. Home flippers raking in millions a month. And we're going to talk about some people that are making a lot of money just buying and selling homes within a matter of weeks. And it's pretty sickening. No tapering from the money printers. They told us that March was going to bring the end of this asset purchases. We're not seeing any signs of that yet. We're going to talk about why. And finally, the food crisis will worsen as farmers break. There's a lot of things happening right now that are leading to the ending of a lot of farms. And you think food prices are high now, just wait for 6 months to a year and even further down the road, and you're going to see things get a lot worse unless something major changes. Let's go ahead and get started. And let's start right at the top. Investment companies buying entire streets. Well, yeah, it's happening. Take a look at this article. Investment firm scoops up entire iconic Manhattan street for just $32 million. Now, this happened earlier this month when an investment company named Firebird Grove came in and bought up all of these homes. And we've seen this disturbing trend and uptick in institutional buying. And we know the institutions, they get money for next to nothing. They have billions of dollars in liquidity. They can go out and outbid most other regular home buyers. And we're seeing record-setting institutional buying, and they, of course, then they turn around and raise everybody's rents after they make the purchase. And we've been seeing this disturbing rise in rents along with the rise in home prices. And if things like this continue, it's not going to stop, and things are going to continue to get worse. That is, unless you're one of the few people that work for one of these investment companies. All right, next bullet point here, banks hoard gold, preparing for what? Central banks accelerate shift from dollar to gold worldwide. Now, we've heard a lot of people talking about gold. You can't eat it. It's not good for anything. You can't live in it. You can't rent it out. It doesn't pay a dividend. What good is gold? Well, why are central banks hoarding it if gold isn't any good? Recently, holdings rose to a 31-year high that was at the end of 2021. So what do these central banks know? What do they know that most people don't know? And what are they preparing for? Why are holdings at a 31-year high if gold is just a barbarous relic, if it has no use, if it's not really good for anything, if the dollars that we can create in endless amounts and print out of thin air are the be-all end-all, why aren't they selling all of their gold for more dollars? You might want to ask yourself that question. And speaking of the moving away or the ditching of the dollar, more of the world is going away from the dollar. Recently, Saudi Arabia considers ditching the dollar for Chinese oil sales. And also, according to oilprice.com, China is aggressively pushing to dethrone the dollar as the global reserve currency, as this latest development suggests that the petrodollar is now being threatened. Well, most fiat currencies only last about 50 years, and we came off of the gold standard here in the US in 1971, so we're already past the 50-year mark. So is this near the end? Are we nearly at the end of this ball game for the dollar? Please let me know down in comments. We've heard a lot of different talk of a digital dollar, a great reset, and a lot more rumors being floated out there, some of them more rumorous than others, but we know that something big is on the horizon. Please let me know down in the comments what you think about that. The insanity in the real estate market continues. There's many people out there, especially YouTube economists, that were predicting and forecasting a major housing market crash or the beginning of a downturn here in 2022. It has not happened, and I don't see this happening at all this year in 2022. In fact, I see more inflation and the bubbles getting bigger. And look what's happening now. Home flippers are raking in millions a month, and this is just one pair of home flippers. Take a look at this. Real estate sharks attempt to flip a Florida condo for 13 million after 1 month. So we're at the point in this home price growth mania now where you can hold a home for a few weeks and make insane profits just for holding it in the price appreciation. And I'm not sure what makes me more sick, the people that are flipping this home and making all this money, or the idiots that buy this home more than the previous buyers paid for it. Will they make the 13 after 1 month? We'll have to see, but it really would not surprise me considering the environment that we're in right now. And it seems like we're at the point right now where instead of hard work, the people that get rewarded the biggest are the people that take out the biggest loans and then turn around and sell whatever it is, whatever they flip, to the next person who can get an even bigger loan. And where does this game of musical chairs stop? Does this game of musical chairs stop? Will they just keep on giving out bigger and bigger loans to infinity? Well, technically they could. When you look at the basis of our currency, it's just digital. They could just push buttons and create bigger and bigger loans out of thin air. So you let me know where this ends. Please let me know down in comments. Or does it never end? Also, next on the list here, no tapering from the money printers. The Fed swore they were going to stop buying assets because inflation was getting out of control. They finally were brave enough to raise the Fed funds rate, the base rate by 0.25%, which is a joke considering the insane cost of living that we're seeing right now. But what's happening with the taper talk? We're about 2/3 of the way now through the month of March. They were supposed to be done buying assets here this month, March 2022. Has it happened? Well, you don't have to take my word for it. Let's take a look at the Fed's own chart. 1-year chart right here. We go back, and do we see any reversal of this upward trend? Well, not much at all. No, it looks pretty similar. And ask yourself, why? Why were they supposed to taper, or why did they say they were going to taper? When we can see by our own two eyes, or with our own two eyes, what they're actually doing. It's still going up. There's still an acceleration of their balance sheet and still increasing. You see, they have to keep buying these bonds. They have to keep buying these securities for banks to continue to loan out money. Once banks are no longer able to loan out bigger and bigger loans and mortgages, that's when the game of musical chairs finally stops. That's when the music stops. So yeah, I think the conflict happening now over in Europe pretty much gave the excuse, or gave them the excuse, to no longer do what they say they were going to do, and inflation is still going to run hot because of this, and asset prices and bubbles will continue to gain and grow in size. All right, let's talk about what a lot of people now are seeing, and finally it's making people start paying attention to what's happening right now, and it's food prices. Well, the food crisis is going to continue to worsen as farms continue to break. Now, we've already witnessed this disturbing trend over the years of more and more farms going bankrupt and just closing down. Now, with the latest events happening again in Europe, U.S. farmers feel the squeeze as the invasion sends livestock feed costs higher. But even before this, it was very, very difficult for farms, especially smaller farms. And we saw this trend in more farms closing down because of the water prices, the energy prices, the mega drought that we're seeing, especially here out west. More restrictions, more regulations, rising taxes, and just higher cost of living altogether. In fact, even out here in California, many avocado farmers stopped farming, sold their farms, and just let their trees die because the cost of water was starting to cost more than what they gained or what they earned selling the avocados. And we reported on this before, but things are continuing as this drought continues, as water prices continue to go up. San Diego farmers here, a lot of them are letting their trees die. Here's a story about a farmer up in Fallbrook, and an 8% hike in water costs just in the past year is causing more and more of these farmers to say, I'm done, no more growing. The profits aren't enough to keep up with this rising cost of living and these rising prices. From this article, many avocado growers in San Diego have gone out of business in recent years as they struggle with the rising cost of water. Now, that's from last summer, but guess what? Things are continuing to get worse. Look at some of these predictions about this drought. The NOAA is out there warning that this mega drought is going to continue. And according to the U.S. Drought Monitor, at least 90% of the 9 western states are plagued with dry conditions. And they're now predicting that this mega drought could begin to impact the food supply to an even bigger magnitude. And this is the worst drought in over 1,000 years. Over 1,000 years. All right, so continue to buckle up, folks. I don't see anything done to reverse the situation here with this madness, money printing, rising costs. Again, what do you think about today's topics? Please let me know. Why are banks hoarding this gold? Why don't they just sell all their gold for dollars if the dollars were the answer to the problems? If the dollar were the answer to the problems, then we wouldn't have any problems because they printed so many dollars. Why didn't the problems just go away with this dollar printing? Also, investment companies buying up entire streets, these home flippers making over $10 million in a month if they get their way, if some sucker comes in and makes this purchase. Why are the money printers not tapering? And the food crisis, rising food costs, do you see it ending? And what are you doing to prepare? Again, please let me know. Thanks for being here, everybody. Ride the bull, prepare for the bear. Keep stacking. We'll see you very, very soon. Bye for now. Peace.